What's up, church fam? Conversation came up and brought up Romans 8:28 over the weekend, and I want to share it with you here because it's something that I feel we can all learn and grow from. And so Romans 8:28 says, "All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose." Now, this verse is popular. It's a lot of people's favorite verse. You see it everywhere. And that's because of its promise. All things in my life work together for the good. All things, the circumstance that I'm in right now, the circumstance that I was in before, and the circumstance that I'm going into are going to work together for the good. And why is that so powerful? Why is that do we get drawn to that? Because this is not saying all things in my life are good. All things happening to me are good. That's not what it says. It says all things work together for the good. That's uplifting. That's a promise almost every person can get on board with. The problem is we hold on to the promise in this verse, the first part, but we neglect the latter part of this verse, starting with those who love God. Now, what's important to know where we start with this is we can't just profess this with our lips. We can go dive back into scripture and really see why. Or we can just be real, right? We can really just be real right now and say, we cannot just profess this with our lips and say, I love you, God. Now give me all your good promises. We know that this has to reflect, this has to show up in our day-to-day living. We just choose to not look at that part. And that's how we view this verse as well. See, we go through life looking for that all things working together for the good as we're going through our tribulations, as we're in the midst of our storms. We're looking for the all things working together for the good. We're expecting it. But the love for God doesn't reflect, what we profess with our lips doesn't reflect in how we live day to day. It doesn't reflect in our friendships, in our relationships, in our work ethic, in our job, in our parenthood, in our marriage, in our confidence in Him, in our trust in Him. That doesn't reflect. Yet we expect the blessing. And then somebody would say, well, how do I know? That's the very last line in this verse. How do I know that I love God? Paul tells us here how you know. See, in Hebrew, it would have said, to those who love God will be called or are called according to His purpose. It wasn't in addition to loving. It was a result of loving God that they are called. The Old Testament calls us prophecy. God purposed, God lived, God breathed. Nothing happening without Him. His plans, His will. That's how we know that we love God, because His love permeates every aspect of our heart, every avenue, every inch. And it's reflective in the way that we live. So the truth here is, love God, be called, and then watch all things work together for your good. Be blessed.